Hello, hello, listeners. Happy New Year's. We're back with another holiday episode today, and this time we're going to talk about New Year's and New Year's resolutions.
Now, since a lot of people often spend New Year's at home or out with friends, instead of talking about parties and fireworks, we wanted to talk about something a bit more interesting that you can use over the entire month of January and ideally over the entire year, your New Year's resolutions.
New Year's resolutions are the goals that you make for yourself at the start of a brand new year. They can be things you want to start doing, like exercising or learning a new skill, or they can be things you want to stop doing. But before we talk about our big plans for the new year, let's introduce ourselves quickly. My name's Mark. I'm from the UK, so I'm the British voice of high level listening, and I'll try and give you phrases and expressions you're more likely to hear in the UK.
And I'm Kat. I'm a teacher from the United States, and I'm the American voice here on High Level Listening. So, today we're going to talk about New Year's resolutions in a very natural conversational style. And then we're going to go through all of the most useful vocabulary, phrases, and expressions that you need to know to talk about your own New Year's resolutions in high level English.
Our scripts are written so that you can hear and understand both American and British English side by side, and then we'll take the time to explain the differences in vocabulary, grammar, and explain any fun expressions along the way. So, Kat will go first, and I will ask her, what do you usually do for your New Year's resolutions?
So, usually in the days leading up to New Year's Eve, I start to reflect on the year and think about my goals and resolutions for the new upcoming year. It feels like turning a new page. It's kind of exciting to think about all the opportunities we could work towards. When it comes to resolutions, I try to focus on achievable and realistic goals. Things like reading more books or trying out a new hobby. Last year, I decided to learn how to cook healthier meals, and it really was a game changer for me. This year, I'd love to pick up a new language or maybe do some volunteering. It can be tough to stick to these resolutions, but the key for me is to keep them realistic and fun. Okay, so I'm going to ask Mark the same question, and he'll give you his perspective from the British side. What do you usually do for your New Year's resolutions?
When the new year comes around, I often like to look back on the year before and then think about the things I'd like to achieve in the coming year and make the most of a fresh start. I often try to focus on learning new things as opposed to quitting or cutting down on things. I don't try and make sweeping changes to my lifestyle, like going running every single day or completely cutting out chocolate, but instead I'll aim for something more sustainable, like hitting the gym 3 times a week or learning one new recipe a month. Definitely stops me giving up after a couple of weeks. This year, I'm considering joining a weekly book club because I'd like to read more often.
All right, excellent. So we basically shared both sides, the American side and the British side. And now what we're going to do is we're going to break it down. We're going to look back at each of our scripts. We're going to answer a question for each and explain a little bit about each part. Oh, Mark, when do you usually start thinking about your resolutions?
When the new year comes around, I often like to look back on the year before and think about the things I'd like to achieve in the coming year. So, in English, we can talk about time and imagine a clock or like a circle. And you can do this for 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. But we also use this phrase comes around for holidays, dates, and times of the year. So the new year comes around. It means the new year is here. You can also use it for Christmas. Like Christmas comes around once a year. My birthday comes around at the end of August. So when the new year is here and it comes around another time at the same time every year, When the new year comes around, that's when I look back on the year before. When I look back, I think about the past. I reflect on the past. I think about all the months, January, February, March, and all the different things I did that year. So sometimes on December 31st, people like to look back on the year before. Maybe if I look back on this year, I feel quite satisfied. It was a good year. Or maybe after a bad year, I don't want to look back. I just want a fresh start. The last phrase here is the coming year. 2023, in this case, is finished. The coming year is the next year. So I have big plans in the coming year, or the coming year sounds really exciting. Next year sounds really exciting. So this is the time when I start thinking about my resolutions. How about yourself? When do you start thinking about them?
Usually, in the days leading up to New Year's Eve, I start to reflect on the year and think about my goals and resolutions for the new upcoming year. So we've got a few phrases here. In the days leading up to, in the days leading up to New Year's Eve, in the days leading up to my birthday. I think if something is leading up to, you're sort of in the countdown. There's just 3 days before New Year's Eve, so the 3 days leading up to New Year's Eve. Okay, we're getting excited. Those are the 3 days before New Year's Eve. We're starting to count down, we're starting to get excited. So these are the days before, and the excitement is starting to build a little bit. I start to reflect on the year. Reflect. Now, we have a reflection in the mirror when you see yourself reflected back. And if you think about it, if you want to reflect on your year, you're going to thoughtfully think about what happened this past year. Maybe now you have better understanding. It wasn't a surprise because it's in the past now. So maybe you're starting to think, okay, I'm getting some memories. I'm reflecting back on the year. I would do this better. Maybe I would change that. Oh, I really liked that. So it's a good time for reflection. It's a good time for reflection. The end of the month, the end of the year, the end of the season. It's fun to reflect on the year to kind of see, what would I change? What would I do instead? And finally, think about my goals and resolutions for the new upcoming year. The upcoming means the very next one. Okay. Upcoming episode is the newest episode that's coming, the new upcoming year. Now, some of our students ask us the difference between goals and resolutions. Goals definitely would be a bit smaller, and resolutions feel like these really big changes. They feel bigger than goals. And we often use the phrase New Year's resolutions. Okay, I'm definitely going to be doing this year 100%. I can't fail. I've got to do it. These are our New Year's resolutions.
Hmm. I also get the impression from resolution is there's something about myself that I don't like and I want to change,
Mm,
or something I should do better and I want to change that. Like I want to improve myself
hmm.
in a way. That's what I get from resolutions. So they're often like quitting smoking, doing more exercise. There are these
Yes.
personal improvements that people want to
Well,
make.
we do say new year, new you, right? New
Mhm,
year, new you. That means I'm going to be better this year. I'm going to be the best version of myself, right?
mhm.
I mean, I think this tradition is actually 4,000 years old, this idea of bettering yourself year after year. So, I mean, if people were doing it 4,000 years ago, why not? Let's keep going. Let's try it. Okay, so I'll have a quick question for you, Mark. Why actually? Why do you make New Year's resolutions?
I want to make the most of a fresh two phrases in here. Make the most of
Sorry,
something.
could you say that one more time, Mark? You want to make the most of?
I want to make the most of a fresh start. So, two phrases in there. Make the most of something. That means I want to use it and take advantage as much as I can. I have a great opportunity. At the start of a new year, January 1st, you have a great opportunity to start again or start something new. And it's easy to count how many days or how many months you've been doing it. So that's very motivating. If I have a brand new year, I want to use that fresh start as much as I can. You could also say, if I have a day off work, I want to make the most of that.
Mm.
I can make the most of that day by doing chores, errands, or just relaxing. Or maybe it's a sunny day outside. I want to make the most of it, so I will go outside, do some gardening, or just enjoy the sunshine. When I have a brand new year, I want to make the most of it. This motivation and this energy I have to change something. The last phrase is a fresh start. You can say the start of the new year. A fresh start feels like something completely new. It feels like a break from past habits, maybe things that went wrong last year. A fresh start is a whole new chapter. Your past mistakes and past failures are gone. A fresh start is a change for the better. So, a new year is a fresh start. A new job is a fresh start. If you didn't like your old job, your new job is a fresh start with new colleagues, a new routine, a new atmosphere. Maybe you didn't like your old your old home or your old city, and moving to a new city is a fresh start. There's new people, new places. So, yeah, a new year is a fresh start. There's great opportunity. In your case, why do you make New Year's resolutions?
I guess it feels like turning a new page. It's kind of exciting to think of all the opportunities we could work towards. So I guess it feels like turning a new page. Turning a new page. So when you have a book and you've opened up your book and you're finished with this page, you turn to a new page. We often use this phrase when we are, just like Mark said, starting fresh, starting new. You have something new and exciting to do. It's not the same old thing that you were doing before. You are turning a new page. We also use the phrase turning a new leaf. So I think the leaf isn't the green leaf. It almost sounds like another piece of paper because we say a leaf of paper, turning a new leaf, turning a new page. Now, it's kind of exciting to think of all the opportunities we could work towards. Now, opportunities is a really positive word. These are chances or kind of a new moment where you could do something new and exciting. So, you want to have opportunities and you want to seize the moment, right? You want to make these opportunities open up for you. So we'd like to work towards something. Work towards something. You kind of have this goal in mind, this resolution, and we slowly want to work our way towards that. So it's kind of working step by step, working towards these opportunities, working towards these resolutions.
Mm. Just for the comparison between the British and American accents, I say a fresh start. How would you say it?
A fresh start.
So, British with the long R, fresh
Mhm.
start.
Fresh start.
Very
Fresh start. So the R really is kind of in the top of your mouth here, the fresh star, like a star in the sky. What would you say? A star in the sky.
a star.
A
Star
star.
in the
A
sky.
star. So star.
Hmm.
Star. That's that American R sound versus the British ah ah
Ah. Mm.
ah and then
Ah.
R like
Yes,
I'm
like
a
heart,
tiger.
right? A heart. market, a fresh start.
Uh-huh. A fresh start. A
Hmm,
fresh start.
cool.
Now, what sort of resolutions do you normally make year after year?
I often try to focus on learning new things as opposed to quitting or cutting down on things. So, as I said at the beginning, New Year's resolutions can be starting things or stopping things that you don't want to do anymore. In my case, I try to focus on learning new things. If I focus on them, I try and improve them specifically. You could say, I want to focus on my health. That would mean eating healthier food or cooking healthier recipes at home. Or I want to focus on my fitness, would be going to the gym more often, exercising more often. So I want to focus on that because I want to improve it. There were two phrases which are about stopping habits. To quit. To quit is to totally stop. You do it no more. So if you quit smoking, means no more cigarettes, never again. Or if you quit drinking, I understand no more alcohol, ever again. Stop, quit. If that's a little bit too difficult at the moment, or it's not a realistic goal, you could cut down on something.
Hmm.
To cut down on it is to just reduce how often you do it, or do it less often. So, cut down on junk food would be eat less junk food, less often. But still, you could have a hamburger once or twice a month. That's okay. Just doing it less than before. So if you quit smoking, you stop it forever. If you cut down on smoking, then you smoke less often. So some people can set different goals depending on how realistic they think it is. Anyway, what sort of resolutions do you make?
So, when it comes to resolutions, I try to focus on achievable and realistic goals, things like reading more books or trying out a new hobby. So, when it comes to resolutions, that means I'm talking about resolutions. When it comes to this topic, I try to focus on achievable and realistic goals. So, we have two really good words here, especially when you're making resolutions. If I think of some crazy, wild idea to change my life completely, that might not be realistic. I might quit around January 5th and say, no more. I don't want to do that anymore. That's too difficult. So, over the years, I've realized that it's better to focus on achievable, something normal that you can easily work towards, achievable, and realistic. If I'm really busy, it's not realistic for me to exercise 2 hours in a day. I don't even know if I have 2 hours to give as free time in the day. Thing that's realistic is something that is part of the real world, something you could really do, not something that's a bit crazy or just too big. A realistic goal might be reading one new book every month. Yeah, just reading a book every month. That feels good. That feels nice. Realistic might be reading 100 books every month. That's not only unrealistic, but that's a little crazy too. Do you even have time to sit and read and read and read and read? Probably not. So, something achievable, you could work towards it step by step, and realistic, not too far fetched or crazy. Not this kind of crazy dream of an idea that isn't possible, or that something that you would just quit doing after a week. Maybe you'd have one good week and then you'd quit. That's not achievable or realistic, and it makes you feel bad. So, we don't want to feel bad. We want to create some goals that we can work towards. All right, let's continue on to our next section. Now, Mark, we've been making goals for a long time. We've lived so many times around the sun. Have you been successful in your resolutions in the past?
I think so. And the strategy that I have is I don't try and make sweeping changes to my lifestyle, like going running every single day or completely cutting out chocolate, but instead I'll try to aim for something more sustainable. I think this is quite connected to what you were just saying.
Hmm.
I try to make achievable, realistic resolutions.
Yes.
Something that would be too difficult would be sweeping changes. Sweeping changes, like you sweep the floor and sweep everything off, means to totally change everything. Make
Hmm.
huge changes or dramatic changes. If we're talking about resolutions, sweeping changes could be changing my diet, changing my routine, changing my lifestyle completely. Some people take their wine bottles and beer bottles and pour it down the sink. And maybe they lock or they put their credit card in the freezer or something. These sweeping changes to try and change their life. But again, these sweeping changes are often not sustainable, as in, you can't keep going. If a goal isn't sustainable, you can't continue it for a
Mm,
long time.
yeah.
Like you said, running every single day or reading a book every single day, you might get tired and exhausted and give up after a week. But if you try and just run or run 2 or 3 times a week, that is sustainable. You could keep doing that for 2, 3, or 4 months, or maybe even longer. So I avoid these sweeping changes and I aim for something sustainable. There's one more phrase. In the previous example, I said cut down on.
Hmm.
Cut down on is to reduce it or do it less often. There's a similar phrase, cut out. In our previous episodes, we've talked about phrasal verbs and how out can be completely or off. This is the same here. To cut out is to completely stop. So if you cut out cigarettes, then you quit smoking. If you cut out chocolate, you never eat chocolate again. Versus cut down on chocolate means you still eat it, but less often. So cut out is totally stop it. Cut down is do it less. So again, you can choose your phrasing to match your goal. Anyway, in your case, have you been successful in your resolutions in the past?
So last year, actually, I decided to learn how to cook healthier meals, and it was a game changer for me. So I didn't actually use the word successful in this phrasing, but last year, when I decided to learn how to cook, decided to learn to cook, it was a game changer. Now, Mark, if I told you that something was a game changer, would that have been something I was successful at or something that I failed?
Oh yeah, super successful. Like
Hmm.
it changed everything for the better, right?
Yes, absolutely. And I really like this phrase, oh, it was a game changer. It means that it helped your life quickly and somewhat easily. So it was a game changer. Before you were having issues or problems, or you didn't even realize you were missing out on something, you introduced something. Maybe you bought something. Maybe you started doing something, and all of a sudden, it was a game changer. Wow, it was something that really helped my life quickly and made it better. A game changer. That was a game changer. High level listening for learning English, that's a game changer. You make it easier, faster to learn English with us. He.
That's right. Yeah, being able to put the subtitles on the video,
Oh,
super easy.
game
It's a game
changer.
changer.
Game
Game
changer.
changer.
Now, I want to quickly touch on the grammar of this one because there are a lot of little words here. I decided to do something. I decided to learn. I decided to wear. I decided to do this. I decided to do that. Okay, so I decided to do something. I made a decision. All right. I chose to do something. I decided to learn to do something. So we've got these back to back. Decided to, learn to. Now you can make it easy because we have learn how to cook. Learn how to cook. We can also just say learn to cook. I decided to learn to cook. I decided to learn to swim. I decided to learn to paint. We could also say, I decided to learn how to paint. I decided to learn how to swim. I decided to learn how to speak better English. We can use either one, whatever you feel most comfortable with, because there's a lot of little words in there. Decided to learn to do something. Decided to learn how to do something. It's up to you. You choose whichever one you like better. Now we'll continue on. Mark, are there any other resolutions that you'd like to make?
This year, I'm considering joining a book club because I'd like to read more often. So I'm considering joining. This is one of those phrases where you have a gerund after the phrase. I'm considering doing. I'm considering joining. I'm considering joining a book club, considering starting a small garden.
Mm,
I'm considering trying to save more money. These are not solid plans yet.
I'm
To
thinking about. I'm thinking
right.
about doing this. I'm thinking about doing that.
Yes. Yeah, to consider is to think.
Mm,
So, yeah, I like the idea of a book club, but I still need to find one online. I still need to do some research, and maybe there's a couple of options. I need to look at each one. But yeah, I'm considering joining a book club. I have the idea. It's not 100% sure yet, but yeah, I'm considering trying that. But yourself, are there any resolutions you'd like to make for this year?
This year, I'd love to pick up a new language or maybe do some volunteering. So I'd love to, meaning I would like to do that in the future. Oh, I'd love to. Oh, could you imagine if I could do that? Oh, I'd love to do that. So we're thinking about thoughts in the future. That's what resolutions are. We're thinking about these ideas in the future. So I'd love to do that. I would love to pick up a new language. I would love to maybe do some volunteering. I'd love to. I'd love to pick up a new language. I'd love to do some volunteering. Now we have pick up something. Now we talked about this cleaning up. We can pick up something up off the floor physically, pick it up. But also, when we pick up something, we might be starting something new. So, to pick up a language, or to pick up a new sport, or to pick up a new hobby, this means that we're going to start doing something. Yeah, I'd love to pick up a new language or maybe pick up painting or something. It means that we're starting to learn something. So we're kind of choosing, yeah, I'll pick up like a new language or something. So we're starting something, and you can begin or start doing that. Pick up a new language, pick up a new sport, pick up something. And then I like this phrase, do some verbing. Do something, ing. Do some volunteering. Do a little bit of this, maybe try it out. Not sure if we like it or not. Do some reading, do a little cleaning, do a little reading, do some cleaning, do some reading. So those are that's just kind of an easy phrase to use. Yeah, what are you going to do today? Oh, do a little reading, do some reading, do some exercising, do some sports, maybe something like that. Do some of this, some of that.
It's a good phrase for resolutions if you want to do it more often.
Mm,
Like
mhm.
maybe I read books occasionally now. I want to do some more
Mhm.
reading
Yep,
this year. Or, yeah, if you want to do it more often, I want to do some more exercise. I want to do
absolutely.
some more swimming. this year. So, yeah, if you want to improve it or do it more often, that's a good phrase you could use too.
Definitely. So, Mark, how are you going to achieve your goals? How are you going to work towards your resolutions this year?
Um, I'll try to aim for something more sustainable, like hitting the gym 3 times a week or learning one new recipe a month. That definitely stops me giving up after a couple of weeks. So I've recycled a bit of my text here. The main thing is to give up. That definitely stops me giving up after a couple of weeks. To give up is to stop, to quit, especially if it was something difficult or something hard. Sometimes people set resolutions and they're not very achievable, realistic, or sustainable. So you do well for the first couple of days, but then you get tired, your routine gets disrupted already, life or work gets in the way, and it's so easy to give up. It's very hard to give up smoking because nicotine is an addictive substance. Maybe you want to go running every morning, but it's January. So it's cold, it's dark, it's early. You want to give up, go back into bed, curl up in the blankets. So when I try to set a sustainable resolution, just 3 times a week or one recipe a month, that stops me giving up after a couple of weeks. That's my strategy. How about you? How do you achieve your goals?
Oh, it can be tough to stick to these resolutions, but the key for me is to keep them realistic and fun. So, how will I achieve my goals? How will I stick to my goals? How will I not give up? Well, the key for me is to keep them realistic and fun. So it can be tough. It can be difficult to stick to keep going, to succeed, to not give up these resolutions. But the key for me, the key is the solution. Think of the key that opens the lock. Okay. So the key for me or my solution, my way to be successful is to keep those resolutions realistic and fun. So it can be tough, everyone, but you've got to stick to it. Don't quit. It's January 1st. Don't quit today. Don't quit next week. Don't quit in January. You've got to keep going. We're here for you. We're here to support you, especially if one of your resolutions this year is improving your English. So, we want to be here to support you by giving you weekly podcast episodes, lots and lots of fun information. And Mark and I will be here throughout the year to make sure that you stick to your goals.
Mhm. Yes, it'll be even easier to stick to your goals if you subscribe to the channel, because then
Yes.
you'll get alerts when we release new videos, usually twice a week, sometimes more. If you choose to become a member or a high level listener officially, you'll also receive transcripts. These are downloadable PDFs where you can read every sentence and every word that we've said in this podcast. You'll receive it as sometimes 10 page or 11 pages. That means you can take it with you. You can take it off YouTube, you can print it out, and you can study it in your own way. So memberships are available. There will be a button along the bottom to help you join us there.
Yes. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. We are very, very excited about the coming year, and we will see you every week this year for new episodes. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time.
Bye bye.
Bye.